ahead.
Women are not without electoral. Border encounters have dropped over 50%.
Lie.
In fact, there are fewer border crossings today than when Donald Trump left office.
That's lie number one.
Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides." My God.
2 lies.
That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant. From his own chief of staff, the 4-star General John Kelly, that Trump, when in Europe, would not go to the grave sites in one of France.
Lie, I think.
Brave service members who gave their lives to this country. He called them suckers and losers.
Another lie.
Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
Wow, gee. Look at him. He has no idea what he's mad about.
They're the ones we're going to bring back.
That guys? What?
That's not hyperbole. It's because Medicare no longer has to pay those exorbitant prices to the big pharma. It's Republicans, Democrats.
Adam's coloring.
We saved democracy in 2020, and now we must save it again in 2024. You know, we have 1,000 billionaires
He's
in
not
America.
finished.
He's promising a bloodbath
Another lie.
if he loses, in his words.
How many Okay, guys.
Interesting take. Yeah, it's clear that he doesn't know what he's doing, and they have a teleprompter on stage for him to just read as best he can. Clearly, he can't even do that, but they're just feeding him lines. He's acting like an actor, and he's just reading those lines to the public at this DNC convention, but he doesn't know what he's saying. And it's actually amazing that they keep letting him get on stage in front of cameras and talk to people. You're basically not only addressing the whole nation, you're addressing the world, because the world looks at America. We're constantly in the spotlight. So the president is like the, number one public figure to other world leaders to follow and to look at and see what's going on, so that they can make their decisions for how they're going to negotiate deals, what they're going to do in their country based on what leadership we have in place now. And, it's clear that he's not competent to everybody. It was way before even that first debate that he had with Donald Trump, but it's even more prevalent now. He does not know what he's doing. And it's amazing that the Democrats are funny in that way, where it's kind of a smart strategy. They'll say, what it is that they're actually guilty of, or, whatever. Just they'll flip things on its head and say what the opposing side is actually them. They threatened to use the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump for so long, saying that he was incompetent and making up all these things when it was so clear that Joe Biden was incompetent. And they do that as a strategy to dissuade people away from looking at their guilt, looking at things that they're doing wrong. So, if they beat, everybody to the punch, instead of saying that Biden is cognitively declining, if they say that Trump is, and they keep hitting that drum on all the media stations, like one big Operation Mockingbird, if they keep doing that over and over again, it'll basically deter people away from thinking about using that against Biden, because they've already used it for Trump. So it'll just look like a tit for tat. It'll look like they're saying, you're just basically copying us. Like when you're little kids in the schoolyard, oh, you're copying me. And it's a good strategy, because human nature is people want to be original. They want to be independent, especially Americans. So, they use that tactic, but it's clear, it's evident. This guy is cognitively not right. And it's amazing that the 25th Amendment hasn't been used against him yet in office, even by his own, peers, his own Democrats who maybe want that position of power, especially Kamala, because she's next in line. The vice president will take over if the president is no longer capable. That's part of the reason why you have a vice president, is you have a second in command in case something goes wrong with the first in command. And it was set up that way, among many other things. But, you would think that they would want to take him down and replace him with somebody else who, especially people who are hungry for power, like politicians, you would think that they would want to jump on that. But the fact that the Republicans aren't even doing it is amazing. It really is incredible. I mean, I guess they feel that, it's better to just let him talk and keep, saying stupid things to the public because maybe it'll help wake up more people who are or were going to vote Democrat, because that clearly had an effect during that first debate with Trump that Biden had on Democrat voters. Many Democrat voters left the Democrat Party at that time because they really didn't know how bad it was until they saw him actually go head to head with Trump on stage and, basically live and see, what is actually going on. Because the media is cropping clips of him speaking for 2 seconds or 5-second bursts, clearly and coherently, and they're saying, look, he's fine. And if all you do is watch mainstream media, that goes for anything, CNN and Fox as well, or any of the other bigger stations. If you are only consuming your information from one channel, then you're only going to get a biased opinion, and you're going to believe what you see. So that's why I don't really, I look at the people who are Democrat voters as they're just misguided, but they're also not doing the work. They're not putting in the work to find the information. I get it. We're all busy with our lives. Everybody's just trying to, pay their bills, especially in this Biden economy now. We're trying to just pay our bills, keep up with our expenses in life, and hopefully continue to grow. So we're so busy and consumed with that not a lot of people take the time to sit there and actually learn what's going on in the world. But, there's also not an excuse because you have 24 hours in a day, 8 hours. Typically people sleep. That's 16 hours. You really only work for about 8 hours a day, average person, 8 to 10 hours a day. If you have a typical 9-to-5 job, you still have another 8 hours or so left to do research. And a lot of people will spend that time wasting it, maybe playing video games, watching TV, sports, whatever. Not that those things are bad, but if overconsumed and you're not getting enough information where you're learning, what's going on in the world, staying current and up to date on what's happening around you, especially for, your household, your children, to protect them from the world, you have to know what's going on in the world. If you're not taking that time, maybe dividing up your time a little bit more to learn what's going on, you're going to be misguided by the media. And that's exactly what a lot of Democrat voters, were and are being, is misled. They think this guy is their, hero, their savior, whatever, even if they don't totally think that, they won't speak up. They won't stand and say, you know what, this is not right. Let me move away from this. And, some have finally gotten to the point where the economy is so bad, it's actually affecting them being able to buy groceries, that they are finally waking up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. I can't just blindly follow this person or this party. I have to actually start doing the research for myself and find out what's going on in the world. And I think that's why many people have finally come on board with the quote unquote Trump train, whatever that means, but that you're on board with, Donald Trump as the next president of the United States. Because not only did we do 4 years of Trump, we did 4 years of Biden. So we got to see head to head 2 candidates, what they would actually do if they were in office, and not just, what they say they'll do. Like a lot of politicians, have that luxury where we don't actually know their record. We know Trump's record and we know Biden's record, and it is clear who the winner was economically, with the border safety, so many other, factors that come with being the president. We know whose record is better. It's clear. But more than that, at this point, it's basically spiritual. It's basically, and I don't hate to say it this way, but it's just the truth. Just pointing it out. It's good versus evil. I'm not saying Donald Trump is all good, because he's not. He's an imperfect person like the rest of us. But he's going to promote more of God's values than the Democrats, Biden, Kamala, will do. And that's clear. So you're not only voting in this election with the candidate, who is going to offer more, better economic, you know, decisions that they make that help stimulate the economy, or, other things, border safety, whatever they're running on. You're also voting spiritually. You're voting either with God or against God. And it's very clear. I mean, they rolled out a trailer at the DNC. This doesn't even make any sense to me, other than that, and this just the way that I look at it, coming from a spiritual perspective. They rolled out a trailer where they were giving actual live abortions and vasectomies for some reason at the DNC. It's one thing to be a politician and say, we're pro-choice, or whatever, they try to spin on that, or that, they're, whatever they're trying to, run on to get their type of voters. It's a completely different thing to actually take that concept and apply it as part of your convention to promote the candidacy of your person running for president. Why would you have a trailer of, people getting abortions right there on site at the DNC? That's not even sanitary. And I get it. A lot of these medical trailers, they're built up where they can provide first aid and stuff like that, but they're not really surgery ready. I mean, that's more for like a war zone. You have a trailer where you could, stitch somebody up if they got shot, or, something like that, where it's not the best, but you don't have a choice because you're in maybe a foreign territory, or, somewhere where it's isolated, deserted, and you don't really have access to a lot of medical devices. Why would you set up a trailer on American soil when there's hospitals in the area that can provide those services safely, to the best of their ability? Why would you do that at the DNC? Other than to, basically over promote that concept that we're the party of pro-choice. But again, from a spiritual aspect, you have to look at that and say, there's something here. There's something not right here. And, for my mindset, just looking at the Bible and seeing biblically how different people in power and different cultures lived, especially, pagans and different generations of the heathenistic cultures, they would sacrifice children, sacrifice babies, even to perform abortions back then, to their gods. So I look at that as, yeah, okay, a part of it is you are trying to over promote and overstimulate your audience of people who are pro-choice and say, we're so pro-choice, we're having a abortion, offering here at the DNC. I'm not going to a convention and getting a surgery. That's weird. I don't know anybody who would do that. You're going to go to a convention, get a surgery, and then what? What's the plan? Go to the convention afterward or go home? I mean, how does it make logical sense? Because now you're even, the person who's going to get the abortion, they can't even attend the convention. So why are they going there? Why not just schedule it and go to a regular hospital? The only thing I can think of is that they are using that as a sacrifice to their gods, or God, who is basically the devil. And they're saying, if we sacrifice children at the DNC, the devil will provide us with, the power and the victories that we need in order to win this election, so that the devil technically can stay in power, but so that we can stay in power as the Democrat Party. That's where my brain goes, because if you look at the Bible, that was happened a lot. I mean, people did sick things if you really read the Bible, with children, infants, I mean, even newborn babies, sacrificing them to their gods. And many of them worshipped Satan, worshipped, quote unquote, Lucifer at that time. So, and they still do today. So that's the only thing I can think of with that. But it's a weird thing. And, the whole Democrat Party is falling apart, because the devil promises to give you what you want if you, quote unquote, sell your soul. But, that comes with a price. Eventually, at the end, you will pay back everything that he gave you by losing it all, and including losing your soul. But God doesn't offer that. God offers to give you everything, to give you your soul, eternity, and even a great life here. If you really do the right things and carry out his will, he'll bless you along the way. That's why they're called blessings. So, we're living in biblical times. We always have been, but we it's never been more prevalent now in America. And it's clear to me which side is the party that is more pro God than the other side. So, if you're not religious, fine, I guess. I mean, your fate is ultimately sealed, unless you change your ways and repent. But if you're religious, if you're a Christian, a Catholic, or anything where you consider yourself a part of a religious organization that believes in God, the Father, and even Jesus, the Messiah, then if you vote Democrat, you're really going against not only your own beliefs, you're contradicting your own quote unquote beliefs as what you say you believe, but you're actually contradicting God. And that's something that really you should not take lightly. So this was an interesting situation with the DNC, watching Biden's speech and many people who spoke at the DNC. But we're at a pivotal time in American history. This election may be the most deciding election in our history. And I know people say that from time to time, but it happens once in a generation or so. Washington was a big one because he was the first. He basically set the stage for America to actually exist as a country, from a political standpoint. And, Lincoln was another big one because he was part of that whole, ending slavery movement and the beginning of the civil rights era, which basically started back then, but then led into the 1900s. And, Kennedy was another big one. Reagan was big, but not as big. Reagan was more economic, and there were wars that he helped, basically end or stop from even happening. But this one's a big one, even bigger than 2016 with Trump the first time and 2020 with Trump versus Biden. This one's a really, really big one. So just vote. They say vote with your conscience, but I would actually say vote with your spirit, vote with God. Vote with your beliefs. And if you're not a believer, maybe seek God before you vote and see, if anything that I'm saying is true, but also find out for yourself by, searching for God. He'll reveal to you what the truth is. That's all I can say.